Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's Prairie Banana on PulseChain, the chain that has been occupied by the Grays currencies, that is pTGC and
What's
its
up,
little
Banana?
brother,
Can you hear me all right?
UFO. We're on Spaces live, my phone. Yes, I can hear you. How's it going?
Going. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Just busier than a one-armed wallpaper hanger. Okay, I think I need to drop this on X real quick. I always like to put an image in there. So bear with me a second. I guess the image will be the spaces. It's cool to see people on Telegram asking for the link. That's always encouraging.
Yeah, I saw that guy asking for the YouTube link. If anyone's in here and wants to see visuals and doesn't plan on coming up and wants to also make comments, YouTube's a great place to go. You can comment in the chat, ask questions, also get the visuals from Banana. Obviously, if you plan on coming up, stay in here and you can come up anytime and ask questions and add to the conversation.
Yeah. Okay, we got the comments up on the screen. People are piling in. Sweet. Got 16 on spaces so far. Looks good. So were there any new developments this week? Anything noteworthy?
Gotta get coffee first.
Say again.
Oh, I'm just playing. I said, let me get my coffee first, man.
Yeah, nothing new. PulseChain, I think, hit all-time lows this week, so that's some new information.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Seems to be holding.
Been calling that.
But yeah, pTGC didn't hit an all-time low this week. That's got some decent volume, 42,000 right now. So we're making some pretty good divs.
Yeah, and we seem to be holding our 10-to-1 ratio pretty well. We're still above our 20 mil market cap range. And I think only being roughly 50% down against the chain from our all-time high, when you look at the environment of where PulseChain is, it says a lot, right? It shows that the system is sustainable. The system continues to grow, even in some of the hardest environments, even with users taking profits, right? Like pTGC has no lack of people taking profits compared to other cryptocurrencies, but it's still holding up way better. And, I think that's just due to the machine and the community putting in the work and getting us through this bear market.
Yeah. Our volume is up 60% over the last 7 days. We haven't added any holders in the last 24 hours, but we haven't lost any either.
Yeah, but some of the holders we are adding are buying up copious amounts of the tokens, which is indicative of like 5, 10, 15, 20 regular buys.
Yeah. A buddy of mine that has been buying, he's like, he wanted to go buy some other assets. He's like, well, I didn't. I just went and bought more pTGC. I couldn't bring myself to buy anything else. I'm like, you must be starting to understand the system.
Especially if those other things are in the pTGC web. You are still exposed to them, but you're also exposed to the APY. You're also exposed to deflation, the community. And then I just always tend to lean back on the fact that, let's say one specific token on PulseChain does this massive run and it's in our specific web. Obviously, being that specific token you're going to get more gains from that specific token. But usually most people don't hold one specific token in their portfolio. You know, their portfolio is usually a mix between a lot of different tokens, and that's kind of what pTGC represents just in one. But with that, you're still getting your passive yield with every single transaction. You're still holding a deflationary token, and also it has more LP with every single transaction. So you get that diversification that you pretty much see in everyone's wallet when you look at it. Like when you open up someone's wallet, you see it. You see diversification. They got a little PLS, they got a little PulseChain, they got a little Hex, they got a little pTGC, they got a little of a bunch of things. And I think it's cool that pTGC kind of represents that entire portfolio, but with the features that people are looking for.
Yeah. Yep. Features being APY, deflation, moving up against all the other assets that it's bonded with. Yeah.
Yeah, that reflexivity is a big one. The difference of, let's think about last cycle when PulseChain made its low and it moved up to the high of its uptrend, did like a 5x, and in that same time period pTGC did like an 80x, and UFO I think did like a 50x. That's a huge difference to someone's portfolio if you can stack an additional 10x on top of whatever like the RH tokens do this coming cycle, especially with them being so low now.
Yeah. Well, I got an update from Grok this morning on the Clarity Act. Still looking like it's going to be July, but it could obviously, Grok is great about putting the caveats in there. It could be, postponed till later because there are other priorities that the Senate has to work out on or the House, whatever it is, has to work on. But the Clarity Act still has legs and is a possibility. So I'm excited and I'm optimistic about that unfolding in July. That'd be cool. I'd like to see this market turn around this summer, June, July, August. But we'll see. It seems like judging from querying AI that bonding with WETH has been a good move and continues to be like one of the best assets to bond with.
What's a no-brainer? that goes without question, man. It's a no-brainer to bond with the second largest cryptocurrency in the world. At cycle lows.
Yeah.
It's pretty good to bond with at any point in a cycle, right? Like at cycle lows, you're picking it up for cheap, and even at cycle highs, you're bonding yourself heavier to a cryptocurrency that's known compared to the rest to have less pullbacks just due to its sustainability. Like I think we're finding out because we're seeing actual consistent volume days out of that pair that there's pretty much never going to be a bad time to increase our LP pairs with some larger legacy tokens like Ethereum, because they're good revenue producers for us. In high markets, they're going to pull back less than a more speculative token. And in low markets right now, you're scooping up ETH at $2,000.
Yeah, my point is it's a lot better to spend $2,000 per ETH than $5,000 or $10,000. It's just what the DAO's doing right now is perfect strategic deployment of community capital. It's just Zen. We're doing good shit with the money. Very smart.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the pairing.
It's responsible.
It's what is it right now? In terms of revenue generation, I think I saw this morning it's like almost 7,000.
6,000
volume.
$6,221 right now.
Yeah, and the top pair, which is obviously Pulse, it's the only thing beating it, but the USD value is less.
Not at this moment. At this moment, actually, the WETH pair is in the lead.
What do you mean by that?
In ratio.
Well, right. I'm not talking about ratio. I'm just talking about in ratio.
Volume.
I don't think it's ever gonna. I don't know what's ever gonna beat it. Honestly, I don't know. Even in the bull market, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
All right, is that what you're saying? You don't know what's going to be ETH?
It'll be interesting to see the volume that comes in based on the ratio, like Perry's talking about, with the ETH pairing compared to all the other larger pairs once the market gets going again.
Yeah, it's definitely been the most consistent in the last few months. The only thing I think that could give it a good run for the money if one of our specific tokens just starts getting a lot of volatility and volume through it. Like, for example, let's say PulseX, like, randomly starts getting a lot of bids. People start saying, "Whoa, this thing's way too undervalued." It starts racking its way up and it has volatility. Then it could probably give it a run for its money. But if those things kind of all just come very like connected with PulseChain and everything kind of stays very tied and it's very gradual, I think the ETH pair is proving to be just the most consistent winner. Like, we've been watching this thing for 2 to 3 months now, and it's just constantly in the top 3.
But you remember too, Zed, when we were kind of doing market analysis on the pairs, WBTC, BNB, ETH, it was self-evident even before the capital deployment that ETH was by far the best producer.
By far. Yeah, out of all legacy tokens, the ETH pair, because of that being where users on PulseChain kind of bring value in and out of legacy besides price stables, it was by far had more volume than BNB and Wrap Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm wanting to take profits but stay on PulseChain, I'm probably going to take profits into if it's not stables. I'm probably taking profits into WETH here and just sitting in WETH down here at 2,000.
Yeah, I would say people on PulseChain, just where we are in the market, if they have some profits and they want to get it off of RH tokens or PulseChain tokens, it's probably going into ETH. In higher parts of the market, most likely stables, but right now I'd say probably ETH. Unless they're afraid of another downpour or a downtrend. I think we're going to find some support before this all-time low on ETH, or do you think we have a good potential to break below it?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Do I think that we can break below, that the price of ETH can keep going lower?
I was asking more what you think. Do you think that we're going to find some support before the all-time or this cycle all-time low of Ethereum, or do you think it's more likely to break lower based on current conditions and charts?
So my answer shifts to Bitcoin. I still think Bitcoin could go down to 50,000. I don't see any real life, I don't currently see anything that is generating any real interest in Bitcoin right now at these levels. And we got massively rejected at the 80,000 level. This week it was like 72. I don't see any influx of any real activity. So because of that, I mean, I do think that, you know, we can go down to the 400-week moving average again. Yeah, so I do. And this is why, you know, I've been saying this to you just in private conversations. You know how I feel about it. That's why I prefer to not be in Pulse. And I prefer to be in stables and ETH. And it's been happening that way. So, but yeah, I do think it could go lower, 100%.
The 400-week moving average is where we bounced off of last time, right? For ETH.
Well, yeah. I mean, it only hit the first time the 400-week was hit was this last cycle drawdown.
Yeah.
It started with the 100-week, then the 200-week, then the 300-week. And then once Bitcoin zipped down through the 300-week, it made that moving average weak, like WEAK. It made it weak. So once it hits that and breaks through that, well, now the next moving average is the 400. When ETH hits the 400-week moving average, you know you're down there at the bottom. You know you're down there at a low. I'm sorry. I don't give a shit what your emotions say. And I don't give a shit if you think you can get a better deal. You're never going to be the guy that cops the exact bottom. So I do think that it hit the 400 week, had a bounce, it had a limp dick bounce, and Bitcoin was rejected at 80,000. Where's Bitcoin right now? 72? I haven't looked.
Yeah, it's pushing 74 today. It's still sideways for weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing about this industry or this cycle that indicates to me that you cannot see before the end of this drawdown another chance at a 55,000 Bitcoin. So, especially when we're drawing out a standard cycle into October, November, because we're about to be in June. So June, July, August, September, October, November.
Yeah, we can do it. We can wait that long.
It's not long for us. The shit goes by just like that. But what it's going to do for the system, what it's going to do for pTGC, dude, it's going to get anybody who doesn't want to be in this system out of here. And it's going to allow us to just accumulate a ton of the tokens. And it's going to allow us to burn tokens at massive amounts of rates. It's going to allow us to pair lower and enlarge the web, which is very powerful. And it's going to get tokens out of weak hands. They're going to be giving away a ton of tokens for way less USD value. Well, they're going to get the same amount of USD value, but they're going to have to pay out of their ass with way more tokens. So that's what you want. So let's just put it at 5-6 months max if we're doing the standard cycle. But Zen asks, what do I think? Yeah, I think 1,600 WIC, 1,400 ETH, 50,000 Bitcoin potential.
Sure.
But you got to understand, that's not like sitting there all day long. That's like it's there, comes right back up.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing about grays is that because of the mechanics, and Zen knows this and you know this, we benefit the most from this environment.
Yeah.
we benefit the most because the system is designed in such a way where if the market goes lower, we get to take more of our tokens off the market. If the market goes lower, we get to create LPs with assets much lower. So when that happens, it just strengthens the reversal. And that's why that post, I think that post that went out the other day, it was pretty good. I'll just read it. This was yesterday. What happens when the reversal comes? The liquidity, the LPs all instantly revalue 2 to 3-fold. And the treasury goes from 100K to 300 to 400K in the twinkling of an eye. All while the machine is still adding new users, which it is, generating more revenue, which it would, and long-term holders are taking tokens off the market in the form of daily APY. So I'm earning every month millions and millions of pTGC as a holder. Right?
Yeah.
That's another amount of tokens that are being taken off the market. So when you have, the top 200 holders who are longer term holders, they're earning APY. Those tokens are being taken off the market. If they want to sell them, they have to create volume. They have to create more APY. They have to create more buy and burns. They have to create more LP ads. The 50th largest wallet only has 830 million tokens left.
Yeah.
The 100th largest holder only has 450 million tokens left, worth only $33,000. We are running out of token holders that want to sell or can sell any meaningful amount. Large Ethereum / Grays LP being developed, market cap 21 million. ETH is bottoming a second time in this bear. When do you begin a DCA strategy? Are you the guy that thinks he can cop the bottom? If not now, then when? So it's interesting to me, Zen, when you look at PulseChain on the monthly, you can see it goes down, it's going down, it's going down, it's going down. But over the last 3 months, even though it's creating new all-time lows, the percentage rate at which it's going down is minuscule. Right? Like if you pull up the monthly, you don't see large drawdowns. It's just like it's bottoming, right? But the fact that pTGC just keeps holding this $20 million market cap range, it could go lower, which would be fine. But the fact that it's holding that here, that's strong. That's powerful. And with ETH falling back down, going back down to that cycle low, smart traders will recognize what that means. It means that it's a great time to buy assets that are correlated with ETH or that are kind of part of the EVM broader ecosystem that you believe in long term. So that's why I think we're seeing $10,000 buys, $15,000 buys creeping in at these levels.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's worth bringing up, Mando. You're talking about like this bear market just extending a little further at this bottom, going a little lower, sitting kind of flat, going a little higher, whatever it is. But kind of just chugging sideways, bouncing up and down. And we have good information on how we've spent the last 90 days. And I think it's just really important to highlight the amount of like PLS the DAO has taken in and the amount of LP we've been able to add with PLS, the amount of tokens that we're able to burn in that time period, and the amount of pTGC holders have gotten dripped into their wallets in the last 90 days, because really there hasn't been like a lot of action that's happened in cryptocurrency for the last 90 days. But when you look at what pTGC mechanically has been able to generate in the last 90 days, like it shows progress. The fact that we've been able to bring in 11 billion pulse into the DAO in the last 90 days. Well, at sacrifice price, that's over $1 million.
Is that where we're at? 11 billion?
In the last 90 days.
What is the DAO? I think the DAO is currently, including what's already in the Treasury wallet and what's in proposals that's ready to go. Is it at around 11 or are we at like 9 or something?
It's definitely not around 11. I think give me a second. So right now there is 10 proposals pending. So we have 1 billion Pulse in proposals. And then in the Treasury, we have 7.9 billion. So if you add up the smart contract and the Treasury, we're at pretty much 8.9 billion. And we have 15K in stables.
Okay, so that value is, let me see what this is. Yeah, that's 84 G's of just Pulse currently in the wallet, plus another 1.1. So we're talking about almost 100 G's of PLS at all-time lows. Just sitting there, not including the LPs that could be pulled or any of the stables that are constantly coming in. So look how quickly the Treasury goes from 100 G's to 300 G's on like and look at the amount of capital it would take coming back into PulseChain to actually make that happen. Like almost nothing. See, this is the part that people aren't recognizing in a bear. They're not understanding how quickly the system's LPs revalue and the system's Treasury revalues almost overnight. And that's literally just the beginning of a reversal. You know, imagine this system, all of a sudden it's doubled or tripled in terms of its LPs. It's sitting on, $300,000-$500,000 of Treasury. The system's now generating much faster in terms of revenue. And you missed that damn boat at the bottom because you thought you were going to cop some super duper duper like dip. To me, it's great to find hey, get everything you can on the best deal you possibly can. But when you're down 95% and ETH is hitting 400-week moving averages and is like only like 17% dip back down to it, you're kind of getting a little greedy.
And then you're bringing up that, if this bear market extends another 3 months, or let's say 4 months or 5 months, we are able to use that time to just keep accumulating PLS, even if the portion of that PLS is getting used, right? Even if as we're bringing in, we're, let's say, LPing with ETH or LPing or just doing buy and burns, that value is still in the system, right? When we do a buy and burn, the PLS that we're buying burning with, that PLS gets injected into the liquidity web. And that's very, very cheap PLS. That's PLS in very high quantity amounts. So a billion PLS maybe doesn't seem like a lot at these levels, but when that revaluation happens, and when you bring that up, it's like, it doesn't need to happen a week from now. Like it could happen 4 months from now, but in the time from now to 4 months from now, we're going to have a lot more PLS generated. The longer the bear market lasts, we're just accumulating more PLS. Even if we're utilizing a portion of it to help the system, it is still in the system. It's either buying out users or increasing the price or increasing the liquidity. And that's something that sets us apart from pretty much the majority of everything in crypto. Is the majority of things in crypto don't generate revenue. And if they do generate revenue, most of the time it doesn't go back to the token or the community itself.
Well, I think it's important to note too that it's not a joke that those couple posts in the Jumbotron or in the whatever you want to call it, You know, we just had a buy come in for, it was almost 14 G's. Guy picked up almost 200 million pTGC.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Now, the Dow could have done that. But guess what? That guy had to pay the fee to cop those tokens. He did it at the bottom. Okay. So that's 14 grand the Dow didn't have to spend. And so if you want to sell the tokens, or if individuals want to sell the tokens, the Dow's sitting on 100 G's. Actually, it's sitting on about 120, 130 G's. To just slowly just drip. If you want to make it go lower, we're just buying and burning those tokens and just getting them out of there. Here's the other thing. As people are leaving their stakes, well, guess what's happening to your APY? Our APY is going up because as people leave the pool, we get the percentage. I think that compounding effect really isn't talked about enough. As tokens are being burned, as people are leaving their locks or leaving their stakes, people really haven't been leaving their locks, but as people are unstaking a portion, we went from 212 to 211 to 210 to 209. It's not happening by any means at some rapid pace, but as they're doing that, and as the tokens are being burned, all the APY has to go to the existing tokens. But it's that double whammy if you're in the staking pool as people are leaving it, you know, from 212 to 209, that amount of tokens is no longer in the pool. What is that? You know, it's just giving APY, it's giving those tokens to the holders. You know, that's the genius of the system, guys. That's why I love this system. So it's so powerful. But yeah, so we don't. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead if you got somebody.
Yeah, I was going to say that so far this month, you know, since the 1st of May, holders of $1 million pTGC have earned 545 pTGC in reflections and 992 if they were staked. An additional 992. So for every million that you have that you're holding and have staked, you would have earned 1,537 pTGC. So if you hold 100 million, 153,700 pTGC for being staked in 1 month. And that's thanks to the volume. We've had some decent, you know, low price, decent volume. That's a winner.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And those tokens are going to be worth more one day. I mean, when we go to $1, that's $153,000 in 1 month. When it reaches, but we might have to wait a while. But who would turn down 153 grand in a month, man? But you have to be here stacking them up. We even have a few unlocks this month. So far, 39 pTGC per million, which is not much, but let's see. Times 100, that'd be, yeah, 3,900 per 100 million. That's not a lot of unlocks compared to where we've been in the past, but the volume is low, you know.
What were the unlocks?
39.
You mean
39 pTGC and rewards to unlockers.
No. Can you tell me how many unlocks there have been over the last like 30 days? Has there been?
No, I don't have that.
There's been none?
No, there have been, and that's why we have rewards. I clear out this wallet at the turn of every month, so I start from zero.
But it's not a lot, man. Like it's like minuscule. So in reality, there really hasn't been any legitimate unlocks, to be honest.
Pretty much.
Yeah, everybody that's here knows how this system works. Hopefully, if you don't, raise your hand, come up in here and ask, learn, because this is the killer DApp on PulseChain.
Yeah, it
There's
is.
no question. There's no freaking question about it. Nothing comes close. There's nothing more proven. There's nothing with more data. There's nothing with more math. There's nothing with more key performance indicators. There's nothing.
The chessboard is full, hardly any pieces taken off the board, and the queen has checkmated the king on the opposing side. That's where we're at. JJ says, "Hi guys, I'm a bit concerned with the huge weekly and monthly resistance on the pTGC USD chart. No one seems to mention it. What's everybody's thoughts on this? How do we push through?"
I have my son asking me questions, and if you want to tackle that, I can come on the backside.
Yeah, I think the resistance is definitely really difficult to push through when PulseChain and when the general market is not working with us, right? Like we can go through little pushes within our sub community trying to get through those, but it is definitely difficult when the market and when the blockchain you're built on is working against you. And that doesn't mean it's impossible. We've done it in the past. Definitely when like organically PulseChain was in better spirits and pTGC was earlier. So I personally believe when the market does shift, when PulseChain shifts, when Ethereum shifts, breaking through the resistance levels that we have in front of us should be a walk in the park. Honestly, distribution is so much better than what it's been in the past. We were able to get to a 380 mil market cap with PulseChain literally being the same price it was when pTGC launched. So we didn't get 1x from the blockchain from our launch price. Obviously, it was up like 5x from its bottom, and that helped us out a lot. But we have a new bottom here. We hit an all-time low this week. If you believe in Ethereum, if you believe in PulseChain, getting through those resistance levels, I think will be super easy. It's just a timing thing, right? And the amount of work we're able to put in before that time happens is important. You know, we're talking about the amount of buy and burning we're doing, distribution we're doing, onboarding we're doing, LP ads we're doing, everything we're doing to get stronger and build up our foundation for when it is go time. And I would love to start moving the price up and the ratio up as well in the meantime. But I completely get what he's saying. You know, there is some heavy resistance levels, but when the market is in your favor, those resistance levels, especially in a protocol like pTGC, to me are super easy to break through. It's just we need the crypto market to be working with us instead of against us.
Yeah.
I don't know what levels he's specifically talking about, like the market cap. We're at 20 mil right now. Is he saying like the 50 mil market cap range? A combination of a trending up ETH, a trending up PulseChain, a trending up pTGC. We can break through these levels literally so easy. PulseChain in general, like resistance, like I think there's probably a pretty strong resistance at 403, but that's 5x from here.
I think also you got to stop staring at that chart in that sense. Consider the market that we're in. Consider where we are in the cycle. Consider what blockchain that we're on. Consider the valuation of the LPs. Look at what the tokens that are paired with pTGC are doing. But at the same time, what that also means is that people that want to sell are getting rid of their tokens. They're getting rid of a lot of tokens. And that's only strengthening the system. But lastly, the community, in terms of the DAO, and maybe an investor like myself, I'm gonna want you to let it go down. Why pump the USD price just so you could sell higher? Because the truth is that this system actually is getting strong down here at this $20 million range on the USD chart. It's getting stronger. There's more tokens being removed from supply, which means that long-term holders are getting paid more tokens and APY. LP is growing. Just over the last month or two, nice Ethereum LP has gone live for the system. But you have to consider where we're at in the market, right? So as people are coming in, you have people selling. It's just a buying and selling range here. There's no cookie coding anything. It is what it is. If you look on the monthly, technically we've been sitting at this price for 5-6 months.
Yeah.
We closed out December at 408. We're currently at 4075. So take it for what it is, but it came back down to the magnet that was created back in February and March of 2024, which is very normal for a system to come back down to its first kind of very strong magnet. But look at on the monthly chart, on the USD chart, we've basically been in a channel here now for 6 freaking months.
Yeah.
But, the second that we see life come back, and this isn't just PulseChain. I was in a space yesterday with Mario and the guys, and it's just right now the stock market's at all-time highs. You got all kinds of other things going on, but crypto, it's the doldrums in crypto right now. It's the market cycle.
Yeah, because everybody's excited about they're buying green candles over on the S&P and in gold. When those talk about
it's gold, it's S&P, it's AI,
yep.
It's agentic, it's all these other things right now.
Yeah, they're taking the limelight, and when those top out, when those round out at the top, then people will be looking for another place to deploy, and then suddenly crypto will come to light, and then suddenly PulseChain will explode and onto everybody's radar, and before they get settled on other chains, they'll probably land over on PulseChain. That is my suspicion too. I suspect that the marketing will intensify before things, as things get really hot in crypto, to try to draw attention to PulseChain before people get plugged in on, some of the legacy assets, the Bitcoin and Ethereum and on other chains. I suspect we're going to try to draw them over here and get them into PulseChain. It's kind of like your first credit card. Your first credit card, like you remember it, like it was your first one and you're kind of endeared to it. I think the same thing applies in crypto. That very first one, that first chain you're on is going to be important. So I suspect that as the market goes, PulseChain is going to be in the limelight.
Well, the biggest financial guys that have these conversations publicly, they are currently hoping, quote, the word hope, they are hoping for a $50,000 Bitcoin as investors. So when you have very smart financial people that this is all they do, I'm talking about billionaires, hoping for a $50,000 Bitcoin, it kind of gives you a snapshot of where we are.
How so?
What's that? Because what does that mean practically, Prairie? If billionaires are hoping for a $50,000 Bitcoin, what is that? What can you pull out of that?
That they may not get it. Now, billionaires are billionaires for a reason. However, if they're going with the crowd, oftentimes the market will go counter to what the crowd believes.
Oh, and they're very open about that. But, they're hoping for 50,000 Bitcoin, right? I think a 50,000 Bitcoin is no problem just because of, cycles.
Sure.
But it would be very short-lived.
Right.
We have somebody else that wants to actually come up and speak for once. Maybe not. I see you, Nomad. I see you, woman.
She must be busy. Blue Diesel asks, how can we get an AI integration into pTGC, UFO, Pulse? Is that possible? It is a narrative this cycle, AI. I've got a project of my own that is on pause for now, which is just fine because there's nothing happening.
Yeah, I mean, look, those are great for meme coin narratives or whatever. But what really matters is deflationary liquidity, real capital, demand, APY. These are the things that the big boys are talking about. Making APY, having something that's scarce, something that's safe, something that's high security. So yeah, you can run with the AI narrative. I've been spending the last 2 weeks with all of the biggest CEOs in AI in long tail interviews, and AI is hitting a wall right now. To be real honest, they're spending the most amount of money ever and getting the least amount out of it ever.
Wow.
They've hit a wall. Every single company is doing the same thing. And, they say ideas are cheap, but the reality is, there's a big lack of ideas for the wall that they've hit at this point.
Yeah. They're going to have to ask AI for a solution. Ask the machine that they created for the solution to the problem. That's funny.
I'll add something that I recently sent Banana the UI of this thing that I've been working on that utilizes AI, just as pretty much for the community or for the DAO to use as a soundboard. It's not like an AI agent that's actually triggering its decisions at this point, but a lot of times people strap AI onto a token or onto something, and it really doesn't need to be there. For one, they have no actions to really do with the AI, etc. They just, like you said, Mando, it's just like a meme narrative, but it reminds me a lot of like DeFi narratives or anything 2 cycles ago where they strapped a game on that absolutely sucked, or strapped NFTs on that absolutely sucked. Like, it was just, in quotes, like a utility that no one wanted to use. And that's a lot of the AI right now, is a utility that no one wants to use. But one thing that I've been kind of working on personally is this UI that pretty much tracks the 10-year goals of pTGC, right? Knowing that we'd like to get it to $1 in 10 years. knowing what we want to keep the buy and burn ratio at, knowing that we generate revenue off of LP and what LP pools generate the most revenue. So it stores all this information and it's feeding it to the AI. And then it also is tracking what is in our treasury and also what we're generating on a daily basis. And it's actually asking the AI what is the best use of our funds for the DAO, knowing where the goals are of pTGC, knowing how the system works, and knowing the amount of revenue. And then it also at the same time is tracking the general market. So it's tracking where Bitcoin and Ethereum are. It's tracking where PulseChain is, and it's also tracking the pTGC market as well. And it's just making suggestions. So, is that like an AI narrative for pTGC? I don't think so. I think it's just more showing how we are actually using AI to help the protocol become stronger. And I think it's a good soundboard for us. And I think it's kind of cool, personally.
That is cool.
Because we actually have revenue that we can use with AI, where 99.9% of cryptocurrencies or whatever people are using AI for, they actually really don't have a good use case for it. They kind of just keep using it to use it. And even if they're asking it a question or this or that, or where we are in the market, like they actually don't have a constant revenue flow coming in to take action on what the AI suggestions are. They're just kind of just looking at it. So I'm not saying that like we're going to follow this 100%, but I think it's cool to just gather information from multiple sources and see what it suggests.
I'll be honest with you, Barry, before you go in there. The system has proven to generate, if you had to give it an average then, and don't be overly conservative, but if I asked you on average, what does the system generate per day in volume? What do you feel comfortable answering?
Well, it completely depends on the price. I think what's more important is the quantity of tokens, right? When you look at like the 90-day average of quantity of tokens, we've been very closely tracking these numbers for years now, even since our all-time highs, because as price goes up, our LPs go up, and so does token prices that's being distributed. So it's more about like the quantity of tokens that we're able to generate on a 90-day basis or a monthly basis. We've been pretty on track with for the last 2 years, to be honest.
So you're talking about in Pulse
or in pTGC, right? Like those are pretty much, when you take the revenue that we generate on a daily basis or weekly basis, pretty much the two places that revenue goes is Pulse and pTGC.
So what is that number? What is that number? I want to try to land that. If I asked you, what do we generate? What does this system generate? Right? You're saying, hey, over a 90-day average, it's this much PLS.
Yeah, so the DAO in the last 90 days, which is 3 months, is 11 billion PLS. So at these prices, obviously that's not a crazy amount. That's
okay. So let's split it in half. Let's split the price of PLS maybe in half, and just give it an average price then, right? Because you have to take into consideration a bear market and a bull market in terms of price. It can't just be highs and lows. It has to be some kind of a mean.
Yeah. Are you saying you think PLS should be priced a little higher if you're considering the average?
Of course. If we're taking in 11 billion every 90 days, that 11 billion has to be 11 billion over the full 90 days, not what the price is today, because at any time that could have been sold into ETH, it could have been added to LP, it could have gone into stables, right?
Well, what the value is right now is $77,000. If you believe Pulse should be a little bit higher than it is right now, we're pretty much at all-time lows right now. You could easily say it's $100,000. If you believe that we're at the bottoms of the bear market and you believe PulseChain soon will make its way up, let's say that 4x higher number, I think you very easily could say, hey, that's generating $400,000 on a 90-day basis.
Yeah. So when it comes to AI, I like to think that the revenue generation piece of pTGC is akin to AI in a way, because it is code that's constantly generating revenue on behalf of the community on autopilot. So you could tell AI to do whatever and it'll just do whatever, right? I think that's just interesting. We do have some kind of a code embedded piece that's just constantly working like an AI bot for us in a way.
Well, I think that's the difference. Is it's more like a bot. It's code that's mechanically generating us revenue, where AI is kind of like taking in information and making decisions off of its knowledge. But that's where I think this integration of just having a tool that we could constantly ask, like, where are you leaning AI? Where are you leaning AI? Because we do have this capital right now. It's, like you said, roughly $100,000 every 90 days. But let's say PulseChain remotely becomes successful and ETH remotely becomes successful off of this bear. This very easily could be $500,000 every 90 days that we need to be strategic with. We need to be strategic with it forever. With obviously the community, this is how we've been doing it to date, is just constantly having meetings and talking about how the best use of this revenue should be used. But now we have tools with AI to help us make decisions, which is very unemotionally based.
100%. Absolutely. So of the 5% reward of the 5% transaction fee, 3% of that is very impactful. We're burning tokens, adding to LP, 2% going to the DAO, which is almost always either burning tokens or adding to LP. And then you add an AI tool that works in concert with the artists, which are the top 100 stakers that, are submitting proposals and have a finger on the pulse market and have been in crypto for a number of years. And you have this AI working with these top 100 stakers. So what does that do? So the top 100 stakers are the artists. The AI is the mechanic. The mechanic knows everything that's going on in the macro market and in crypto, but it's still a machine. But the two can work in concert. And so you have that 2% that now that is if we use this AI machine that is going to be strategically deployed. So we got 3% of the rewards that has been so impactful on the pTGC ecosystem. And then now of the 2%, we're going to also deploy that very strategically, and just giving pTGC a little more of an edge. I love it, man. And like I was saying, a small impact of that 2% today can have orders of magnitude difference in a decade. And we're going to have that. We're going to have that edge.
Yeah, to an extent, like, definitely want to watch it for a while, but eventually this could even turn into where the treasury is ran by, or even if it's a separate treasury that just gets filled by the treasury, an AI agent that is actually making decisions for the protocol. Obviously, I think that's pretty far down the road. We need to kind of watch its decisions and see if we agree and see how accurate it is with its choices. But right now, just a soundboard is a huge step in, I think, in a great direction on how to utilize AI to better a system, and it being in a way that's actually impactful. Because you see in cryptocurrency so often that people love to use these words like mechanically driven or AI driven, or slap utility onto something, but no one uses it, right? Or the utility of it doesn't even need to exist. For example, you have a cryptocurrency that's attached to an AI, and they're like, hey, yeah, our cryptocurrency has its own AI agent or, its own AI. Well, it's not better than Claude. So why would anyone even use that, right? You see a cryptocurrency that has games or gambling or this or that, and it's like, well, it's not better than the actual gambling side or the actual games that exist. So no one's going to play that. And that's where I think crypto usually falls short. People like the idea of a utility slapped on the side of a token, but no one wants to utilize those utilities. If you do have a utility that's worth utilizing, I think that's something special. Let's say ProveX hopefully gets to that point or something like that. But that's where pTGC, I think, stands out as far as its utility goes, is it's not necessarily for human users to use. It's for arbitrage bots to use. It's mechanical usage. And we've seen for the last 2.5 years, there's no shortage of them using our liquidity web, and our liquidity web will constantly grow. And now we're utilizing, what tools we have at our disposal today to get the best use out of that revenue generation to hopefully maximize the growth of pTGC over long periods of time.
Mm-hmm. Blue Diesel says that alien intelligence, AI, just simple AI alien agents to bring attention. I think we're missing out on a narrative if it's not used. Absolutely. That's the reason we're leaning into it.
Yeah, I think the alien disclosure stuff is just getting started, right? I also think, Zen, that there's a big piece in terms of videography and outbound messaging that the Grays can utilize in the future. That's just top tier, where the Gray mascot for the Grays currency can be pumped out very powerfully in a very professional way, where it's speaking on behalf of the Grays currency in the same way that the Gecko speaks for Geico. Right? These are some of the things that obviously come with time and capital and things like this. But think about how amazing those icons have been in American business and American corporate business. We have one that's so much more powerful than any of that. It's just starting to be pumped out by governments of the world now that, there's 4 different types. You've got the reptilian, you've got the Nordic, you've got the Grays, you've got the, and the number one of the 4 is the Grays.
Always.
That alien tech pouring into, what does that mean? It's like anytime you have a statement made, it's like a cup. But until you pour something into that cup, there's no meaning, right? So what that means for the Grays currency is you have this amazing new kind of cryptocurrency, unlike anything on any chain. And it's literally like the Grays created their own currency, right? Mm-hmm. It's just a really fun, powerful narrative. But then that narrative is backed by real mathematics. That's the very interesting part about it. Then when you meet the Grays currency, it's like you're talking about, Zen. We've got these amazing UIs that are only going to continue to get better, as you well know. They're only going to continue to get more beautiful, more informational, more interactive. Now we're going to have real AI that is looking into things for the system. Where this could go is crazy. But you have a marketing part where you employ to push out the sickest AI to pump out whatever that Gray's icon personality becomes, right? And he starts talking to the public about the Gray's currency. This is the type of stuff that, you go to the next level, man, with this stuff.
100%.
And with AI over the next 12 months with videography, it's only going to become easier, faster, better, cheaper to do these things.
And what do you mean by videography?
So when you're watching a video is by far the most powerful medium.
Yes.
So imagine you have a Gray's alien in the most highest 5K, 10K format, whatever the hell it is, that's literally talking to you about the Gray's currency.
Oh, uh-huh.
That is being pushed out from official channels.
Yes.
People are actually becoming very friendly with, becoming very associated to, connecting with this Gray's alien icon.
Yes.
That is sharing this new cryptocurrency that's exclusively on PulseChain in a very high level, high professional way.
Oh yeah, baby. Uh-huh.
That's what I'm talking about. These are the kind of things that can begin to happen, and on top of alien disclosure, and the narrative and the meme side, plus the real math and the real connectivity to this new mathematical cryptocurrency that looks like something we haven't seen before. Yeah. Where the hell did it come from? Well,
it's alien tech. It came from outer space. Yeah, man. I love that. Is AI video generation to that level now that we can?
It's definitely, dude, it's definitely getting there, man. It's definitely getting there. There's so much stuff that is in the future for Grays. I think what Shaka did and what Zen is doing and all these are just the beginning stages of the tip of an iceberg, bro. Uh-huh. We can't have Grays as our icon and only utilize that in a static image format. You'd be retarded.
You're correct.
You would literally be absolutely freaking retarded.
Yeah.
At some point, it has to transition to visualization. We know video is the most powerful medium in the world.
Yep.
If you're not utilizing that at some point with an icon like what we have, with a system like what we have, you're not doing it right.
Yeah. I'm sure you're listening, Zen. This is my immediate thought on that. Just like the gecko, like you mentioned a minute ago, the whatever brand he stands for, but this Gray's alien probably needs to be a standard appearance. Wouldn't you say? He needs to look a certain way, be the same guy every time in every video, if it's all from the same source.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I mean, right? Like you have it just becomes so much more engaging. It's like we all loved watching Richard Hart. He's always in the same place. He's always sitting on the throne.
Becomes familiar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And how cool would it be to just have something very similar to where, whether it's an update or whether these are just ideas flowing, but with such an amazing system like this and an amazing icon and meme and narrative, and with the tools that are coming out now, it only gets easier.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep, we can do that. We have one standard alien that talks to the Earthlings and educates them about cryptocurrency, educates them about finances or whatever. He could do anything. We can make this dude do whatever we want. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, it's fun stuff.
It's powerful. It's powerful, man. Yeah. Like with my experimental wallets, every month I download all of this data into a spreadsheet. And you guys notice, if you guys have been on the streams that Zen and I have done every now and again, like once a month, we review all these charts and such. And I'm like, it takes me a lot of time to get all that information into Canva and into these charts and build them all. But with AI, I'm like, at some point, I'm going to be able to upload that spreadsheet to a machine and it's going to output all the charts for me. I'm like, it can wait. It can wait. That's literally where I'm at on that. Too, we're using AI a bucket ton, and rightfully so. I said it 2 years ago when I came into this ecosystem. Like, if we're going to have an edge in the next cycle, we need to be leveraging this tool that everybody else is going to be leveraging. But honestly, not everybody is. So we can beat them. We can beat them to the market. I still encounter people that are like, I got to tell them, like, just pop that into ChatGPT. And they're like, yeah, I don't use that. Well, you may want to start. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind. Does anyone care to come up and chat?
You got any questions on YouTube?
No. Here's something. Blue Diesel again. He says, you guys are onto something. And have him interact with other crypto mascots like Pepe, Troll, Bonk, Shib, etc. If the gray alien could be the Pulse mascot, that would be awesome. Ooh. There's a thought.
Shit. Gray area. Gray. It is the Pulse mascot.
Yeah. Yes.
Ain't nobody on PulseChain that doesn't know that.
No, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's it for YouTube though, Sin. It's quiet day on X and YouTube. Hey, there are 25 people on YouTube watching a static chart of pTGC.
Yeah, I think we're at all-time lows on PulseChain pretty much. We hit all-time lows a couple days ago, and I think that kind of speaks a lot for where PulseChain is right now as a whole. But again, we were talking about this earlier. We were able to utilize these low prices, especially the fact that we're still, obviously we want our volume higher than where it is right now, but ratio-wise, where our volume is right now compared to when we were at all-time highs, we're still generating the same quantity of tokens, right? So if you're someone paying attention to quantity of the tokens, not dollar price of the token, we're generating just as much pulse as we were at all-time highs. We're generating just as much pTGC as what we were at all-time highs. Actually, probably more pTGC because our ratio has dropped. It's adding up. There's a foundation being built down here that is getting quite large. Distributions taking place. Reserves are getting built. Debt address supply is just growing every single day. LP is growing every single day. There's been an additional $100,000 added with ETH just in the last month or whatever. PLS gets added to with every single transaction technically. And eventually the market turns around. Is that 3 months from now? Is that a month from now? Is that 5 months from now? Who really knows? But the point is it will eventually turn around, and whatever our foundation is set at this time is by far greater than it was last cycle. And obviously we had no shortage of X's last cycle. And I look at the foundation we have and where PulseChain's prices this time is such a better setup for growth and sustainable growth than the last time around. And I'm excited for it. And I'm also excited if PulseChain and ETH kind of bounce around here for another few months, and we get to utilize this time to just grow even stronger. Because the stronger we grow here, the bigger our foundation that gets set up here, the higher this thing can go.
Yes, and Blue Diesel asks, is Liberty Swap supporting pTGC now? I believe that we can. I believe they are. Just a couple weeks ago, didn't they?
I think this week. Yeah, I think they posted that this week that that they've made it to where you can now trade tax tokens. So I think that creates ease for onboarding. You know, I'm very interested. This is a good topic. I'm very interested to see how the onboarding route changes in the next 6 months. I think a lot of doors are going to open up in the next 6 months as far as onboarding and getting people onto PulseChain goes because of Liberty Swap, especially with this new Cash App thing where you can get USDC directly to Cash App and then send it over to your specific wallets within seconds. That's pretty much a fiat on-ramp for PulseChain at this point with the combination of Liberty Swap, because they have everything built in with USDC and the gasless transactions, etc. Well, as they get all this hooked up, you can now, as long as the user has Cash App and has a decent limit in Cash App, you will be able to get people from Cash App to PulseChain. They literally will just need to be on Liberty Swap to get into pTGC now. You no longer need to get them over to PulseX. You no longer even need them to switch their slippage. You no longer need them to hop into a bridge. There'll be a one place that they need to go to get from fiat to pTGC. And I think that's super exciting for our community, especially because it sounds like it might take seconds.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Wasn't it earlier this week when we talked about clearing out your permissions in your wallets? Wasn't it Monday night? And then the next day they posted about how they're going to make the new wallet do a where you can clear out your approvals, like clear all of them out at once,
Yeah, which Revoke.cash actually has that already. But it just wasn't supported by PulseChain, or they weren't supporting PulseChain. You could do them individually on PulseChain. It was just weird timing, I guess.
Yeah,
you know that
it was
because at a time, Revoke.cash's like connection to PulseChain went down via the APIs of PulseChain just being so difficult, and it was the day after, and obviously that came out, and I think someone said, "Oh, they aren't supporting PulseChain anymore." It was just that, you know, the connection of A to B just was out for a temporary period, and they got it up again. But I love the idea of Liberty Swap integrating it directly with their wallet. I personally believe the less dApps that users need to connect to and search, the better, right? If we can put more stuff just built into the wallet, you know, if Liberty Swap's wallet, all the tools that our community needs within PulseChain. Obviously, I don't think GoPTGC is getting there or PulsePGC is getting there, but you know, at least maybe they can give us a green check mark so users know when they're actually on the right, you know, sites and stuff. Because pTGC will most likely grow to an extent that there's going to be scammers paying to have sponsored bad sites, just like they do with Uniswap and all the other big dApps that exist. But by having more things built inside the wallet, the better. It's just less chances of users losing all their money, and the less chances, and this is why we're talking about revoking, etc. The safer we can keep the PulseChain community at this point, the better it is for all of us. Because every time a user loses $100,000 or $200,000, it's not only bad for them, but we're so illiquid on this chain. We're so low in price. It just keeps pushing us to all-time lows because the scammers don't care to hold and speculate on this blockchain. They're just going to go take the $100,000 and leave. And then this is low prices. Obviously, as prices go higher, the risk becomes more because you're not sitting with 50K in your wallet. You're sitting with 500K in your wallet, right? And I'm just excited to kind of start fixing some of these things that I feel like should have been fixed a long time ago in DeFi.
We're going to be so ready for the next cycle when people come over to PulseChain and into crypto. And Liberty Swap had a lot to do with that. Getting people off of Ethereum onto PulseChain, making it so much easier. And now with the wallet, everything else they're doing, the privacy, good things are happening. I love it. And do they, let's see, Blue Diesel asks, does Liberty Swap adjust the gas fees for slippage when you transact? Do you know? I'm not sure. So
yeah, the gas fees are different than slippage, but yeah, I think it automatically will adjust the slippage for you on their new decks, or they call it Liberty decks now, not Liberty X. But yeah, I think it auto adjusts the slippage for you.
Okay.
Which makes it easy for onboarding because a no coiner has no idea what to do with those buttons, or if they even need to toggle them. Even experienced crypto people sometimes just get stuck at that point. I think that's one reason why, there's usually been in bull markets less adoption to fiat transaction tokens based on, zero fee meme coins. Because someone who's a retailer that hopped into crypto and is just doing some quick speculation, they haven't done any of the research on what to do and how to get these things to go through. So by the DEX kind of auto adjusting that, but not like just putting like super high limits to where you get front ran and stuff, is great for the retail user adoption too. Because we have to remember, like, the people who are here right now are very experienced people in this space, right? When retail starts coming in, these people are not experienced. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea what slippage is. It's amazing that they're even able to get to this point so easily, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else have a comment? Jump on up, raise your hand.
Yeah, I think it's just important to kind of highlight like where we've gotten in this bear market compared to last bull cycle. Like we have a lot more tools. I think a lot of doors are opening up that is going to make it easier for us to onboard to PulseChain, where in the past it's been a huge process, right? Like last bull cycle, we didn't have Liberty Swap for the good portion of it, or at least the beginning half of PulseChain's existence, which that's really when the majority of the onboarding went on. Like for the last year and a half, there hasn't been much onboarding in PulseChain just because of people, I think for the most part, tired of onboarding to something that's been going down. But those times will change. And now we have these tools to onboard. This is great for pTGC, right? The onboarding process to PulseChain has been one of the biggest hurdles for pTGC. And yeah, I just feel like a lot of doors are opening with this Cash App thing, with ProveX. And then now pTGC has a lot of features that actually incentivize onboarding. Just to remind everyone, we have the affiliate system built into pTGC now. We're getting close to the end of the month. At the beginning of the new month, that's when all the monthly payouts happen. So if you have people you're looking to onboard at the bottom of PulseChain, end of the months are a good time because you get your rewards that much quicker. Just a few days ago, the user who bought 14K, that was someone who was onboarded through the affiliate system. So the user who actually did that onboarding earns 2% on whatever that buy is on that, 200 million PTGC. So they earned roughly 4 million PTGC. It's a great way to increase your PTGC position at this bottom. If you're not looking to DCA yourself, you're not only helping yourself, you're helping the user by getting them in. It costs them no less or no more to get in with the affiliate link. And then you're also helping the PTGC price, which I'm guessing anyone onboarding to PTGC cares about the PTGC price and cares about the distribution and cares about the growing community size.
Yeah.
We're going to run into this next bull market. Last cycle, let's say we had 10,000 users. I'm guessing into this bull market, we're going to have 20,000 users. So much more distribution.
That's 20,000 raving fans of the Gray's currencies telling all their friends about it. I've been telling my friends about it. I got one that's probably going to buy some more on Monday. And then another one that hasn't got an entry yet, but I've been gently nudging him to make an impact on his family. Just speculate him, dude. I'm like, dude, just throw $100 at it and just forget about it.
Yeah. Yeah, some people need to look at it just as like a lottery ticket or some Vegas money. Yeah, and on that point, it's really not 20,000. Like it's crazy to realize like how small and how early we are to these things. Because a lot of that 20,000 is users that have already came and gone. Like users that have either sold at a loss or sold at a gain and have completely moved on. And that's what's super powerful about PTGC is I don't even think most people realize the amount of users PTGC has bought out of their positions. Obviously, we don't want to buy people out of their positions. We'd love for everyone to hold on forever. That's just not how crypto works, right? People take profits, people sell, people have short-term mindsets in cryptocurrency. It's not like the stock market where people are fine throwing $10,000 in every few months or $5,000 in every few months and hodling for 10 plus years because that's what they're going to get on that is a 3x maybe, a 2x maybe on 10 years in the stock market. Most people don't think like this in cryptocurrency. They want to get out really, really quick. So when you look at that 20,000 holders, really probably only 6,000 of them hold a significant amount of PTGC.
Right.
So by us increasing our holder count by another 6,000, we're technically doubling the active users within the protocol. And as prices go up, doubling the active users is twice as many people grinding and onboarding and working for the bag. And I do think in this next bull run, where we are in the fact that we've bought out a lot of users who got cheap tokens, the fact that in this bear market, there hasn't been an opportunity to get, in my opinion, tokens for way, way cheaper than they should be, which usually that equals sell pressure in the future. I think we've hit like this perfect number to where the users who want to sell are selling for way too cheap and the users are wanting in are getting cheap prices. But for the sustainability of PTGC in the future, it's not too cheap to where they're getting way too much to where you have to absorb all that in the future. Because we're already absorbing some of it from the previous cycle, right? So you want to be making these higher highs so the new users in that are coming in the bear are getting an awesome price and can do plenty of X's, but you don't want it to get all the way to the bottom again because then you restart your clock. If you restart your clock, you don't make progress.
And
there's a lot of tokens on PulseChain that aren't making that progress. Nothing against RH's tokens, but that's one hurdle that RH's tokens will have to work through. is right now they're letting users get cheaper tokens than have ever. And cheaper tokens that have ever existed usually equal sell pressure in the future, where we're still cheap, but it's not so cheap to where I feel that it's going to be a hurdle for us 10x from now, 20x from now.
Well, no, because you have to ask yourself what does cheap mean, right? For PulseChain, cheap means new all-time lows. For pTGC, 21 million market cap still means up hundreds of X or whatever the amount of X is. There's no comparison between those two. Even down 95 something %. But Zen, again, we talked about this a long time ago, about what that means for the power of this crypto. That Pulse is down at these levels, man.
A PulseChain down at this level is offering a super cheap pTGC that would never exist for users who want to grow their bags. Like, for example, if PulseChain never got down here, let's say it found a floor at 403, which is like pretty much 5x from here. Well, PulseChain then would, or pTGC then would probably be sitting around the 100 mil market cap. So you're getting these tokens, in my opinion, for an additional 5x off already because of the blockchain we decided to build on. And what that means is I think that makes it to where users that went out are getting out for way less dollar value. For users that are getting in for way less dollar value, which is awesome. But then on top of that, when this blockchain starts to make its way back up, I was saying this earlier, I think we're not hitting any serious resistance until like 5x from here. I don't even think there's really a lot of resistance between here and 5x from here. It takes ultimately very little amount of net positive amount of value into this chain to get it there. It's probably like a mil or something like that. We could play with that if you guys want. But once we get there, like this was where a lot of people found PulseChain extremely discounted and bought in. A lot of people aren't buying down here as much as the opportunity is screaming like, hey, this is the opportunity. Like if people were buying down here, we wouldn't be down here anymore.
Well, look, if you go to the monthly on PLS and you look at the candles, what you'll notice is the last 3 months you have a major flattening of those candles in comparison to all the other candles.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see what I'm talking about, Prairie?
Yeah.
You have to be looking at it on the monthly. So the very first month, massive wick up, down, candle lands in the middle. Next month, same thing, massive wick up, down, candle lands in the middle. Go all the way to March 2024. You had that second, it tried to get to that, tried to break the high, got rejected. But each month you have a pretty nice sized candle. The only ones that aren't okay size are like wicks. But then all of a sudden you come down. If you start it from July 25th, 2025, in July, you have that one green candle, which was the last green candle we've had. The last green candle on the monthly PulseChain had was in July of 2025. You have the next candle, August of 2025. And you can see each candle kind of is the same size as it's tearing down until you get down to January of 2026. And ever since January, so you have January 2026, you kind of have a gravestone doji. And then the last 3 months, it's just, you can see in March of 2026, it basically kind of wicked down. Actually, it on Dex Tools, which I'm on right now, there was a wick down lower than we are right now. Can you see that?
Not on Dex Screener.
So let me go ahead and I'm going to take a screenshot of this. This is on the monthly chart. Let me see if I can get this over to
if you drop,
it's not it's not going to allow me to do it right now. But if you look, basically we've had movement up and down on PulseChain, but for the last 3 months, it's basically been in this exact same price. So all previous candles prior to that were all down months, like a good amount of down, right? But the last 3 months were really not a good amount of down. So it's kind of like leveling out here. I don't know if you see what I'm seeing, Zen, but let me see if I can take an image of this from my phone and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Just make it easy. Let me just put a post up real quick. I'm just literally just going to post the image. Here we go. Boom, 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 boom. All right, so let me share that. All right, take a look at that. If it, it allowed me to share it. So you can see all the previous candles, you just see kind of like a waterfall effect happening, right? And then in March, you see a wick down. It actually, the wick is lower than our current price. So technically, for the last 3 months, we've basically been in the same exact price range. It's just been going sideways.
Yeah, I see that.
So when we talk about all-time low, I mean, if, it looks like in March was actually the all-time low. It like wicked down there and got bought back up. But technically, we're literally just going sideways for 3 months right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with PulseChain hitting all-time lows, so we've still been kind of working against PulseChain, even though it's not as brutal as it was. We have ETH kind of doing what we're doing, moving sideways.
I'm just saying, if you look on the monthly, all the other previous candles, for example, so the last 3 months, we've basically kind of just been in this price range. But in February, we're down from February 42% from February to today. But from the candle in February down to March, it was 42%. Right? And in January, it was from January to the close of February, 50%.
Yep, and that May candle is the smallest red candle of all 10.
Yeah, so you have big drawdowns each month 30%, 40%, 50. And then these last 3 months, it's not doing that.
Yeah.
It's literally just tracking sideways now.
Essentially. Yes. Sure is.
And Zen's been speaking to that in a way, you know, you kind of run into that situation where you're just kind of going sideways. It just kind of feels like that's what the whole damn space is doing at the moment, except for some good calls out there.
Well, that's where it gets boring too, when it's not falling and it's not rising and it's kind of just chopping sideways.
Yeah, it's very boring. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's also indicative of like how the system is designed to work, like in the worst environment imaginable. You know, when you're just literally in this, there's no volatility. You're just kind of just sitting there.
Is that not an ABC correction right there with those 3 waves coming down?
Yeah, you'd have to ask B Roots on that one, dude.
Well, if it is, we know what comes next.
Well, look, guys, I gotta take off. I got a few things I've got to do a little early this morning, but good to be on with everybody. I hope everybody is doing good.
Well,
and I'm going to sign off.
All right. Well,
See you, Mando.
Yep. Thanks for being
Zen,
here, Mando.
Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you guys later.
There's a tough car in the background. I can hear it.
And I think that was my daughter screaming.
She wants the car.
But yeah, going to what Mando's saying, you know, we're kind of rounding off right here. And ETH's rounding off. You even see PulseChain rounding off. Our value generation down here is looking great. At what point, chain in general, do we say, hey, we think we're very close to the bottom, or that bottom is already confirmed, and we can start making our way back up again? Right now, we were talking about earlier, we're generating a good amount of tokens here, and those tokens are going to be used to help the system over the long period of time. If that's buying burns, if that's LP ads, if that's buying dips that come up, whatever it is. But the market seems to be finding a floor, and eventually we will be going back up to our all-time highs as far as Ethereum and Bitcoin goes whenever this bottom is formed. And you know, finding that exact bottom is probably near impossible, but DCAing these bottom ranges, onboarding during these bottom ranges, whatever you're doing during these bottom ranges, I think is where users are going to win heavily. This is where last cycle, when people bought that it wasn't the bottom of pTGC, but 2 summers ago, pTGC was at some pretty low prices and everything looked pretty similar to what it looks like right now. Volume was a little lower. Prices were low. PulseChain was low. ETH was low. And then we came out of that dip with an 80x move on UFO, a 50x move. So, you know, I think we're in a pretty similar zone again. I don't think the market's going much lower. If it goes lower, I think the bottom could very easily be in. And these are the ranges where you get those good, easy X's. Because where a lot of people come and rotate back into PulseChain it's 3, 4, 5x up from here. So wouldn't it be nice to be up? Let's say you brought in $5,000 in, seeing your PTGC bag work, looking at 25,000, or the user who came in with 15,000 very easily could be sitting at 45,000. When people just start waking up again, right now everyone's watching everything bounce sideways, and I think this rounded bottom on the whole entire market is a great sign of, hey, this is where you accumulate. This isn't where you sell off and leave. This is where you come in and double down, or whatever people have the ability to do, and get those easy X's back to still some very, very low levels. 5X from here is only 100 mil market cap for pTGC. 5X for PulseChain is only 403. Still super low prices on PulseChain. Obviously, ETH's a little bit of a different story. A 5X on ETH would be $10,000 ETH, and I think that would pretty much trigger the whole bull market. But that's the benefit of knowing good, riskier plays at the bottom of the market. This is the time where you go risk on and get those additional X's. The further you go down, the easier the X's are in the right tokens. Obviously, the majority of tokens fail and go to zero. That's the risk you're taking going steps late further. But I think pTGC is super unique in the way that
we lost you, man.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You were saying pTGC is super unique in the way, and then we lost you.
That it has the ability to do hundreds of X's, like some of the real speculative plays out there, but there isn't as much risk involved with pTGC as the speculative plays out there. Most of the speculative out there are going to go to zero. 99.9% of cryptos that launch go to zero. You're playing a game to get those X's. Where I truthfully look at pTGC right now, and 100X from here seems like a walk in the park with a remotely successful Ethereum, a remotely successful PulseChain, but you're not having to take that risk of just your portfolio going to nothing.
Yeah.
Give me a second. I got to chase my dog down. But maybe there's something on YouTube.
Well, Manitokshesh says we increased his patience a bit. Now we just need to increase his motivation, but he's still believing. Yeah, staying tuned into the community will help. Well, it will help keep your bag healthy. I can put it that way. It's very important. If you don't, contrary-wise, if you don't, it could be destructive to the bag. I mean, we literally hold an index of the best assets on PulseChain over here in pTGC and UFO for that matter. Nothing has changed. Over 2.5 years of flawless uptime on pTGC, and the tokenomics that we all learned about at the very beginning that got us all super excited. Nothing has changed about them. Still the same contract. We have better tools. The DAO might have better tools to deploy the capital with. So if anything, the code hasn't changed, but the ecosystem is stronger, definitely stronger. A lot more more holders, reduced token supply. Everything about it is far better now than it was 2 years ago. It just doesn't look that way because when we look at crypto, the first place we go is the price in USD, and it doesn't look good. But it's just the market. The whole market, it ain't looking good.
That's when you buy. I was looking at the fear and greed index just the other day, and we're in extreme fear again. You buy during fear, it's usually a pretty good spot.
Yes. Yep. And we can always get that calculator out that you deployed 3 weeks ago. The ultimate, what's his name? Oh, I have a name for the calculator. It's the, what's that dude's name?
10-year?
Yeah, the 10-year calculator. I named it after
Charles, do your own research.
This is the Charles do your own research calculator. He's not here today. He always has the most bullish things to say about pTGC. He's very optimistic about it, very vocal about it. And that calculator is like the calculator that he would deploy if it were him deploying it. But it ended up being you working on a hunch about where this thing was going. And yeah, very exciting. Just going to take some time, guys.
Yeah, if you want to pull it up, for the last few minutes, if no one has questions or comments or wants to come up, we can shut it down at 2 hours today. We could spend the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes just running through a few simulations for the people who have long-term mindsets for pTGC. Really, the interesting thing about the calculator is even if you're a short-term mindset person, you can see how easy it is mechanically getting to decent X's, right? Like decent X's, 100X, 50X, those being very easily achievable. Obviously, with pTGC, a lot of us are very long-term, 10 plus years, and we like seeing the numbers, 10 years from now, what those could be.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go through some scenarios. If anyone
has questions or comments, feel free to come up, or if you have anything you want us to plug in as far as numbers that you think are realistic, we can plug those numbers in for you guys, or you can comment them on Query's YouTube as well.
Yeah. You guys are always welcome to drop comments or whatever you'd like to put in for this calculator. I was doing a little bit of research with AI last weekend on Spaces, and I pretty much came to the conclusion that we can expect new users to bring in about $3,000 per, in a cycle. But that's where I would start, is average price injection, $3,000, and just kind of build around there. But whatever you want, guys, we can put anything into here. And then once we got this built out at the top, we'll scroll down and see where we're at in year 0, 1, 2, and out to even 10 years. So let's put 10X in year 0. How about I just build it out and then we can calibrate later, or you can calibrate as we go. I'm flexible. But I think that year 0, PulseChain is going to do 10X. Let's just leave it at that. And then ongoing LP ads would be, let's make that 25%. New users in year 0. Oh man, this is where AI gets really excited. I think 15,000 new wallets in the, if PulseChain does a 10X, we're going to have a lot of wallets come in. I'm just throwing 15 in there. Everybody bringing in $3,000. Annual user growth, I'll set to 25%, 95% sell pressure, just to be realistic. And then setting the DAO to 50%, because that's also very realistic. Median volume.
So real quick, Banana, did you say 15,000 new users by the time we revalue on PulseChain?
Yes.
And then that's saying that we would consistently be picking up 15,000 yearly from then on, plus the 25% increase yearly as well, right?
Right. So at year 10, we'd have 140,000 users. I think that's very.
How many new users?
140,000 new users. I mean,
and you have to factor in the 25% increase too. So if you don't want to do the 25% increase,
no. Yeah, I do want to
do from there.
Total users. I see. Okay, you're right. So if we leave it, we can make this even less. We can make it, if we make it 10%, That reduces the year 10 new users to 39,000. Total users, 278,000. That sounds appropriate. I think we can have 278,000 users in a decade from now. Yeah, man.
Cool. Keep going.
Okay. Scroll down. So pTGC at year 0 would be 1 point, basically a tenth of a penny.
Hold on. What was the sell pressure you did?
95%.
Okay.
So that would be a 21x for pTGC, year 0. A daily volume of $243,000. Market cap, $468 million. Then year 1, 50 X's, $1 billion market cap. LP size of $40 million. Daily volume, $448,000. Year 5, 6 cents, which is 782x from here. $17 billion market cap. $247 million in LP. $3 million in volume. Year 10, $1.18. $1.18 per token. 16,000x. $341 billion market cap. And an LP size of nearly $2 billion and $25 million in daily volume at year 10. Another lesson here is hodl your tokens. I mean, what if we make that year 0 multiplier 100x? You know, that's just makes it more juicy.
So I got some numbers I want to throw in there.
Okay.
Let's pick the multiplier at year 0, 10 still with a 25% increase of PulseChain,
Okay.
Or of the LP web yearly after that. And then let's do 10,000 users yearly with a 10% increase every single year.
Okay.
And then let's do 99% self-pressure on that buy pressure from the new users.
Okay. All right. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, let's go. Let's start at, let's say, year 3. Where are we at year 3 with those metrics? So again, guys, we factored in 99% sell pressure on the user base. Pretty much what we're saying is if users bring $100,000, if we have $100,000 from user buys, we're assuming 99,000 of that just gets sold into, which I think in cryptocurrency is pretty standard.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people sell in cryptocurrency. The benefit that pTGC has compared to the majority of cryptocurrencies is there's a lot of buy pressure that will never be sold. That's the DAO, that's the auto buy and burn from pTGC, that's the auto LP ad from pTGC, and then that's also the buy and burn from you. So that's the reason why we're able to, even with such huge amounts of sell pressure, still maintain significant growth and sustainable growth.
Right. So at year 3, 7/10 of a penny, basically a 95x, $2 billion market cap, $69 million in LP, and $866,000 of daily volume. That's in year 3. Year 10 would be 42 cents, 5,672x, $122 billion market cap, $1.17 billion LP, and $15 million in daily volume.
Cool. Yeah, if anyone has any numbers they want to plug in or any clarification on any of those line items or want me to walk through any specific line items that we're filling in and why, the descriptions are sometimes hard to understand because it's hard to like come up with how to describe these certain things. But if you have any numbers you want to throw in or any explanations of any areas please let us know. And we're happy to describe kind of what we're simulating here. This is very much based on averages. So you have to realize as time goes on, there's going to be highs and lows. What we're kind of taking is just a moving average across those cycles, these numbers. So what we're saying is like, hey, if these metrics play out, there's going to be highs and lows, but the averages could be around here. Average volumes, average liquidities, average prices.
Yep. Yep. David said he's too old for the 10-year stats. No, you're not. I don't believe that.
Yeah, some people are, and that's kind of where I was getting in cryptocurrency. It's not surprising that so many people don't want to look out 10 years. The reason I like to do this calculation 10 plus years out is because the people who sold their Bitcoin at year 3, yeah, up a lot of money, but shot themselves in the foot for the most part because there wasn't a better place to go with that money.
Yeah.
Definitely take care of your family, get the house, get the car, get your family taken care of. But remaining of value, like people still have the same problem. Where do I store this to get the best gains, the best appreciation, the APY, the scarcity, all the features people are looking for in their value that they have. The big reason a lot of people came to cryptocurrency is from what Bitcoin and Ethereum have been able to do. It's been the best place to store value in the last decade, pretty much. People who sold year 3, let's say went to stocks, went to housing, they're still down on that trade. In the recent 3 years, they're actually up. S&P 500, et cetera, have been outperforming crypto for pretty much the last 4 years. For me, that's a big sign of us being close to the bottom or blockchain in general failing against the stock market. I don't think it's failing. I think we're getting the adoption. So I think we're at near the bottoms. But yeah, some people don't want to look out 10 years, but you have to ask yourself, well, where are you going to bring that value to? If it's to put a roof over your head or get your family in a car or whatever, yeah, I get that. But I think you have to ask yourself with a portion of your bag, where am I going to store this value to where it's still appreciating, it's in something that's growing, not in something stagnant. And the pTGC can get to the level, let's say 3 years from now, that this chart is saying, if we get to that level, confirmation of getting to the dollar 10 years from now becomes that more solidified. That's what's unique about this experiment is if we start hitting the goals in year 2, year 4, year 5, year 6, the likelihood of us hitting the goals in year 10 are more likely.
Yeah.
Because what I'm finding is the biggest hurdle that we have in front of us right now is the remote success of PulseChain. If we get the remote success of PulseChain, if you believe in the remote, you actually believe that this is going to play out because the rest is just math and very modest general adoption. If you don't believe in PulseChain, then yeah, these numbers don't work out, right? Because if PulseChain never gets that revaluation point, we're going to be continuously chugging at the same rate that we're chugging at right now, which is still good. Like it's still better than most things out there. We're still generating 10 billion PLS on a 90-day basis. We're still scarce. We can still do X's. But if you in general believe that PulseChain is going to be remotely successful, it doesn't even need to do crazy amounts of X's literally in this experiment. What are we in that last thing I just calculated? What's it say the X's 10 years from now is?
5,672.
Not pTGC, the LP web.
Oh. Total LP. Yeah, the total LP multiplier it would be 93.1.
So what we're assuming here is in the next 10 years, we get a 93x from the blockchain we're built on. Keep in mind where we're at right now. That's roughly, I think, that's roughly 6x SAC price. So what we're saying is in 10 years, it's going to be able to be 6x above sacrifice price. That's super modest, and that's in a very long time span. If you don't believe PulseChain can do that, then you probably shouldn't even be on PulseChain at this point.
Yeah. It's very modest.
But yeah, what we're finding is mathematically with what this system does and with the liquidity that we have already, and with the amount of holders that we're in during this bear market and what this community has been able to do, if we just keep that up, these numbers are very easily achievable. And if we hit these numbers 4 years from now, 3 years from now, I don't see a route why we shouldn't hit the numbers 10 years from now. And unless, at that point, 6 years from now, cryptocurrency randomly just fails, but I don't see that happening either. I think we have some of the toughest hurdles in front of us right now. And if we can get over these hurdles, it's pretty clear road from there on.
Yeah, I mean, if PulseChain did a 250x, a 250x would be, let's see. Whoa, I got to reset this thing. Sorry. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I put that in the wrong field. Yeah, 250x in LP would be a 2,328x LP multiplier, which would mean 2.6 cents at the end of year 0 for a 357x for pTGC.
Yeah, there's different ways you can throw this calculator out. Like, there's some people that are in the camp that this cycle PulseChain is going to do 100x just in this cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
To where you could pretty much say then at that point, PulseChain doesn't do any X's from then on. Some people are in the camp that PulseChain is going to just gradually grind up and just make its way up to being a sustainable blockchain. Who really knows? No one knows, but it's more about what you do in this downtrend to just set yourself up for the future of pTGC. If this calculator is projecting $1 10 years from now, like, we can fall drastically short from that goal and still be up crazy amounts of X's from these prices.
Yes.
That's what's really important to me. Like, we can miss that goal. We can have, like, right now we have it at 99% sell pressure. We can have it at 101% sell pressure, pretty much saying there's more users selling every single year than buying, right? Which sounds like you should be at 0 then, like most cryptocurrencies would be at 0. But pTGC can still do crazy amounts of X's in those time periods because of the undervalued blockchain and the mechanical growth, the value generation. And so we can fall short in some of these categories, just not all of them. We can't have no gains from the blockchain. We can't have no value generation. We can't have no user adoption. If we hit 0 on all those categories, of course, projects die. This is majority of cryptocurrency dies this way because they don't have any value generation. They're built on blockchains that are either going down or flat and have no more user adoption. Luckily, we kind of went through the toughest times on PulseChain already, in my opinion. We've already weathered the 95% drop on the blockchain. I don't think it's going much more. And then also the value generation. If we're able to generate revenue here, we know that the revenue generation is going to only increase over time because we believe we're at some of the lowest prices that we could possibly ever see again, ever, for pTGC and our liquidity web.
100%.
And you could look pretty much at anything in our liquidity web and ask yourself, do I think any of this is going to be successful? There's a large range of projects in our liquidity web that can give us gains. Now we have $120,000 with ETH and it's growing. We have P copies. We have ecosystems part of the P copy ecosystem. We have meme tokens like the RH memes, like Pump Tire meme and Most meme. We also have the RH core tokens. We have ProveX. We have some Peacock. We have all these things part of our web where at this point we need just a few of them to get some gains. If you believe in any of those things, you believe that that engine of pTGC is going to turn on And what we're finding is if anything gets this machine turning on at a little bit higher rate than it is now, they're, even with more sell pressure than buy pressure, it's really hard to turn off.
Yep.
Considering we haven't, no one's been able to turn it off and the chain's 95% down.
Yep. pTGC is going to surprise a lot of people. I think it's going to surprise the holders.
The problem is most people won't hold, right? This is what cryptocurrency is the majority of people will sell too early. That's why we put in the 99% sell pressure. We could even plug in 100% sell pressure. We can still tons of gains with 100% sell pressure because of the system that's set forward. You know, the system of being on an undervalued blockchain and the mechanical value generation. Majority of people will not gains, just like the majority of people who bought pTGC at 500K market cap did not run it up to a 400 mil market cap. Most people will sell too early. Did the people selling too early stop pTGC from going to a 400 mil market cap?
Nope.
Absolutely not. And that was probably the most amount of sell pressure as far as token quantity that we'll see ever in the existence of pTGC, because that's where people got the tokens for the cheapest. Now we're going into cycle. The Dow's been buying up pretty much the bottom of pTGC along with the code of pTGC and UFO, and strong hands, people who truly believe in this system long term. The distribution's taking forth.
Yep. Well, man,
I think that goes for all of PulseChain. I think the people scooping up the bottom on PulseChain right now are the users that truly believe in PulseChain and understand the markets, and not people who just FOMO'd in a bunch of value in at a sacrifice because hex to the 10,000x. Right? There's a difference in those two type of people. FOMO is something so real, it'll get people to spend value that they don't have, or value into something that they don't truly understand or believe in. Right now is the time where if you truly believe in something, you're taking action on it. If you truly believe in pTGC, you're taking action on it. If you truly believe in PulseChain, you're taking action on it. Obviously, I think a lot of value is already spent by the existing users here and in pTGC. We've been going down on PulseChain for 3 years. But the users who truly believe PulseChain is going to be successful are finding ways to DCA these prices. And pTGC is finding ways to DCA prices with the value they generate, just like any user that has a job is able to DCA these prices. pTGC is doing that as well. We said in the last 90 days, Dow's generated 70 cents in the toughest times of PulseChain.
Yeah, man. I see a buddy of mine. Yeah, I'm ready. I see a buddy of mine in Spaces, Red Squirrel. It's good to see you, man. You're always welcome to come up and chat. But yeah, I'm ready to call it a day, man. We'll meet again on Monday. I'll do my stream tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific. So if you guys are brand new, if anybody's brand new to pTGC, I do a complete ecosystem walkthrough every week at 1 p.m. Pacific.
Sweet. Thank you for doing that. I think it's going to be super valuable when new users are actually flowing into PulseChain. Obviously, at all-time lows shows that there's very little new users coming into PulseChain right now and existing users technically leaving. But things do turn around. Bottoms are made, prices go back up, new users and new value flows back in. And I think we're more ready than ever. And I think there's going to be a line of users getting their information from you on these Sundays eventually.
Yeah. And there actually are. There almost every Sunday there's somebody asking, basic questions in the comment section on YouTube. Yeah, how do you stake? And they just need some basic guidance. So there are people coming into pTGC that need a little bit of a grounding in the ecosystem. And if they're grounded, then when they onboard people and they can speak effectively about the tokenomics and how to make yield over here. And it just makes our community stronger. So that's the goal. And yeah, I am excited though for more students, if you will, on the Sunday stream. But we usually have between 15 and 20, and sometimes a new person here or there, which is always fun. I like the questions. So jump in if you're available. You got questions? It's like an AMA. You can ask me anything. If I know the answer, I will get you the answer. And if I don't, I'll find it for you.
Sweet. All right. Thanks for co-hosting, Banana.
You're welcome, Zen.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Okay. See you guys.
See ya. All right. That's it. Another Spaces in the books. You guys doing good? Hodling? All right. Gotta clean my desk off. And I got work to do. Yeah. If you're brand new, jump into my space. I'm into my stream tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific. Ask me any questions. And you can also ask in the Telegram too, by all means. There's no need to be in the greatest currencies and not know what you hold, because there's so much available to learn from. But if all you want to do is hold the tokens too and learn on Spaces, that's fine too. It's good to see you, Paul. All right, gentlemen, we'll see you on Monday. We'll have another Spaces then. Have a good weekend. See ya.